Today we're going to talk about everybody's least favorite topic, falling. Originally, Carrie was going to be doing this presentation for the most part. We were just going to be helping out. As many of you know, she cannot be here, so you kind of got the B team. But we're going to do the best we can. We're kind of just putting this together, and it may not be the exact presentation she was going to put, but we're going to do the best we can for you guys. So, with that being said, I just want to start off. I just want to say for the presentation, falling, don't do it. Thank you. No, so if anybody doesn't know me, I've been here for a while, so I think I know pretty much everybody in the room, but my name is John Steiner. I'm a physical therapist here at the Army Residence Community, one of the physical therapists. And this is Bernadette. She is the nurse liaison. Is that your correct title?
Yes, clinical nurse liaison for independent living.
Oh, we've already messed that up. So we just kind of want to have I want to just kind of make like a group discussion. There's a lot of things I want to touch on. We're going to kind of tag team, so she may jump in and I'll jump in. I'd like you guys to jump in. If you got questions, just raise your hand. If you got something, comments you want to make, an idea, maybe something to help your other residents here that may give them some help. But again, most of what we want to talk about is fall prevention. So I'm going to start off. I want to talk about balance. I want to talk about some of the components of balance. Okay, and there's three main components of balance in my mind. I'm sure some people have some other opinions on that. And we actually have a machine in the therapy gym. It's a Biodex balance machine. And it actually allows us to test these three different components of balance. So it's kind of, I have four balance, okay. And there are different tests that we use to assess balance. There's a verb scale, there's all these different scales, a time get up and go that we use as therapists to kind of quantify balance and fall risk. The Tonetti is probably the one that we use the most. And so then it just gives us a score, and then we work on your balance, and then we see, have we improved? A little bit more objective data than just saying, oh, yeah, your balance is better. But this machine allows us to break it into these three components. The first one is visual, which is pretty self-explanatory. We all use our vision to see. Second one is vestibular, and that's your inner ear. You've heard of people with having vestibular problems, crystals in their ear, and they get all dizzy. It has to do with eye coordination. And then the last one is somatosensory, which is basically proprioception. It's where is your body in space? I can sit there and be looking at you, and I know where my foot is in space without looking at it. Okay? I know that I'm standing on my tippy toes. Okay? A very important component, especially if you're walking over uneven surfaces, or you step. How many of you stepped in a hole? Yeah. Okay? That's how your body, your ankle immediately react. Oh, I'm in a hole, and you react and compensate for that. So if you have diminished somatosensory proprioception, then you lose that ability. You'll lose that feedback to be able to compensate. Okay? Now I focus on that one a little bit because we have a lot of people here who have neuropathy, whether it's peripheral neuropathy, diabetic neuropathy, neuropathy from medication, you were exposed to medication, any chemotherapy.
Chemotherapy is very big for onset of neuropathy.
Or if you have a lot of edema, you lose that sensation. So I bring that up because when you lose that ability to lose, so you really don't know, you can't, if you talk to somebody who has neuropathy real bad, it's just like a brick, and they can't feel it. You'll see them stomping their feet because they can't tell where they're at. So they're kind of compensating so they can hear. Or you have somebody who has foot drop. A stroke would be another reason you lose that sensation. So, but my point being is that if you know the three components, and let's say you have neuropathy, then you know, hey, you know what? I need to use this other aspect to help make up for it and decrease my fall risk. So I know if I can't really feel my feet, I know, I need to periodically look down and make sure where my feet are in space. Okay, you can kind of use some of the other components of balance to make up for whatever portion that it is that you're missing. Okay, anyway, enough about that.
And then being mindful of glasses. A lot of us have bifocals, a lot of us may have trifocals. That can be a balance issue as well. So being mindful, getting your eyes checked, and then familiarizing yourself in a comfortable environment with your glasses before you start going downstairs or going upstairs, because that transition is very uncomfortable at times. It can make you lose your balance.
And then the vestibular component, a lot of times if you get up too fast, I mean, that could also be orthostatic hypotension, but if you get up too fast, you turn your head real fast, people, then you don't do that. Anyway, moving on, I want to talk about the risk of falling and some of the causes of falling that you may not think of. But some of them you're aware of, and y'all probably have some more, and y'all feel free to jump them out. Anybody, what is the number one indicator that you're a fall risk or that you may have a fall? Anybody know?
Your age.
Close. If you've fallen before, you're more than likely at very high risk to fall again. Okay? So that's one of the things, you know if you've fallen. I mean, I know none of us have fallen. But you know if you've fallen. So that, that makes you a high fall risk. But if you know that you're a high risk, then you can do something about it to prevent that risk, okay? Fear of fall. If somebody's had a fall, a lot of times it's very normal to be scared to death of falling. We see them downstairs all the time, they're terrified of falling. A little bit of fear is okay. Terrifying fear is not okay, because you have to live. You know your body is better than anybody else. And we all have good days and bad days. If you're feeling real weak one day, listen to your body. If you're just not feeling quite right, listen to your body. That puts you at risk of fall. We talked about numbness and tingling in the legs. You have numbness, tingling, decreased sensation. Obviously, that's going to make a risk for fall. We just talked about poor vision. That's a big one. That's a big one. And there's only so much you're going to be able to do about that. Feeling lightheaded, dizzy. Obviously, that makes you a fall. I know that some of this is naturally obvious, but I want to go over. Here's a big one. Being dehydrated. And I'm going to speak in generalities here. A lot of the elderly, they do not drink enough water. And a lot of them are dehydrated. And I get it. Well, I'm going to the bathroom 20 times a day. I'd like to sleep maybe 3 or 4 hours at a time before I forget it. I'm right there with you, I get it. However, getting dehydrated does increase your risk of fall, along with a lot of other things, such as an acute kidney injury and different things. So, try to stay hydrated. Medications. There's a lot of medications that can increase your fall risk. And I'm not a doctor, I'm not going to tell you what they are, but you need to be aware. If you're taking medications like at night, like NyQuil, Tylenol PM, anything, kind of sleep aids, allergy medicines, a lot of those can make you a little groggy and increase your fall risk.
And hypertension, or if you have low blood pressure and you're taking something to raise your blood pressure, anything that can elevate or decrease your blood pressure, you can end up getting a fall risk as well.
You know, like we talked about, any kind of sleeping pills, anything like that. Laxatives, they can make you into high risk for fall. Why? Well, it kind of goes back to dehydration. Okay. Something probably all of us take at some point, pain meds. Certain pain meds can definitely increase your risk of falls. Again, diuretics, the water pills. A lot of people are on Lasix and different things like that, so that's something to be aware of too. Again, it kind of goes back to the dehydration aspect. Okay. One of the biggest things I like to tell people, whether it's getting up or you're walking somewhere, you're going somewhere, don't be in a rush. It will get you into trouble. And we're all guilty of it. I'm running late for work. I think I can make that line. And then you're in a wreck. Then I'm really late for work. You know, take your time. Nothing, I would say this all the time, nothing is worth a fall. If you have an accident, you can clean that up in 5 minutes. You fall and break a hip, you'd see my smiley face for about, I don't know, 2 or 3 months, and I don't think you want to do that. So don't be in a rush. Take your time. If you're late, you're late. Okay? And the other thing that I want to talk about is being aware of your deficits. And we're all guilty of this. None of us want to admit this. Is anybody in here getting older? Because I'm not. I'm total denial. I don't like to admit the fact is I can't do things I did when I was 20 or 40 or 50. We're all that way. You know, and I see them, I'm just fine, I'm not big problem. And you see, I'm not the only one who sees, you know, other residents going, ooh, they look like they could fall. You know, and so I live in the world of denial, I get it, but we need, if you're aware of your deficits, aware of things that could make you fall, that could decrease your fall risk. Okay? And so one of those, you know, is if you need an assistive device, get an assistive device. Okay? I can't, you know, I have had so many 90-year-old ladies, 100-year-old ladies, those walkers. They're for old people. Let me just say, if you're 80, 90 years old, there's no shame in the game in using a walker. Okay? Especially if you need it. What was what we were looking at was, we were talking about the effectiveness of assistive devices. And if you Google it, you get a bunch of gobbledygook, which happens. 47,000 people fell with their assistive device. Don't use an assistive device. It makes you more likely to fall.
So in this handout, we have 36 million people fall in a calendar year that are 65 years of age and older. In that, statistics brought it down to 3% of that are falls with an assistive device. This is 36 million without an assistive device. 3% of that falling year that end up in hospitals with an assistive device.
Yeah, so what was this, 47,000 or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 47,000, oh my God, that sounds terrible, you fall into an assistive device. Well, compared to 36 million, they leave that out of what they're saying. So,
Yeah, 36
be
million.
careful what you read on the internet, what you read into it, they may not be telling you. The fact is that most of these studies that are legitimate studies, using an assistive device decreases your fall risk, like, I don't know what the exact number is, but it's between 50 and 75%. Okay, so,
It's that added layer that you need. It's that extra 2 feet. It's that extra foot, or it's helping with just your balance. Whatever the case is, it's there to do a purpose, and it does it very well. It's learning. It's cumbersome at times, and it's weird to get used to. But once you do, It's very beneficial.
You know, my father, this was, he was of older age at the time, but he had an injury, but anyway, he only had one eye, and a brain. But anyway, he would have, he was younger, he's younger than my age, but he would have a cane. He would keep a cane on his blind side. Not because he needed it, but because it kept other people from getting close to him
And you're not full.
and accidentally bumping him. And him not being able to recover from a challenge of balance. It's one thing to be able to stand here. It's another thing when I come over and challenge your balance by accidentally bumping into you. So that's just another thought process. Anyway, move on. Any questions on any of that? Any thoughts, any ideas? Anybody want to add anything to that? Bernie?
And then I think, what is a good, in your home, what do things pop in your head that could cause you to have a fall risk? Anybody can suggest one of?
Rocks.
Excellent.
Excellent.
That is right. Rugs.
What else could possibly be a factor?
Wires.
Wires?
Correct.
Just leaving anything on the floor, like your shoes or
I
your
mean-
slipper.
Having clutter or slippers?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anybody else?
Where are you most likely to fall in your home? Bathroom. Absolutely, it's the bathroom. It's not the floor.
And so perfect things to put in the bathroom would be
Right.
such as,
Well, so if you're gonna be, things that you can add to your bathroom, and this is not an inclusive list by anything, but putting in grab bars in your showers. You know, you kind of know what you need. This goes back to knowing your needs, knowing your apartment, knowing your deficits. Hey, I need some grab bars. Maybe I need a grab bar. You know, there's grab bars in the shower, but when you step out, there's nothing. Maybe you need a grab bar on the outside. So when you're getting in, you can hang on and step in. Because when you step in, if you have balance problems or weakness in one leg, whatever, for that brief instant in time, your total balance is on one leg. Same thing when you're getting out, even if it's just a small step. You throw water on that, you throw soap on that.
Maintenance will do it, don't have to do it ourselves.
Correct. Yep. All you gotta do is put in a work order.
Yep.
And they'll put it in.
and I mean, I'm young, I'm had a back injury, I'm a nurse, wear and tear on our backs. Every single morning when I step in the shower, because I've had some drop foot from sciatica issues, I grab a bar and I get in because it's slippery. And I'm young, I have a good 6-inch core, it's not as good as it used to be, but I'm mindful of those things. Because I know once that water starts, if there's any residual soap, I'm gonna go. And then that's where hip fractures or leg or,
Mhm. So maybe having some non-skid stuff in your shower
or the texture.
versus some sort of, resist, so you have friction, as opposed to water and soap. Okay, now some of where you all live, some of them are, the newer ones, really have, I think they're pretty much in there, all of them, and they got a nice chair. Some of the older cottage, you'll have a chair in your shower, but it's about this high. So it's almost worthless. Yes, ma'am.
In many of the cottages, there is still a tub that you
Yes.
have to step into to have a shower.
Yes, ma'am.
And when a work order is put in, please take out my tub, I want a walk-in shower. They say, fine, you can pay for it.
Yeah, the tubs that you're talking about, when I've gone and done home assessments, these things are about, I don't know, this high. They're huge. And I don't know, I mean, I guess when they built it, they were thinking, ooh, we can get into this nice tub. But trying to live, like we talked about, getting in and out, trying to step over that is dangerous for most everybody. Those tubs, in terms of having to pay for it, I'm above my pay grade. But generally, most of those tubs, when I go and do home assessments, there's clothes and it's good storage area.
Yeah, it's catch-all.
But yeah, they're not functional or safe. I totally agree with you. When you step out of the shower, the tub, have a mat, again, with skids, not one little, but, something because, so that water goes to the floor, not when you step out on a wet surface and you just fall. Okay, different things like that. Your commodes. If you're having a hard time on the commodes, you need an elevated commode. You put bars on it to help you push up. The lower the surface, the harder it's going to be to get up. Okay, and like I said, the number one place for falls is the bathroom. Let me go over a couple more things here. We're probably going to get yelled that I'm talking too much. But, we talked about vision, okay, and especially at night. Low lights, not having enough light to see where you're going. Make sure you have a lamp or something by your bed that you can turn on. Make sure that your path to the bathroom is well lit, and that you're not fumbling around. Make sure you have maybe just a simple night light in your bathroom. They have them now fancy. They see any motion, they come on. No motion, they come on. There are all sorts of different things, okay, to do that. Again, we talked about keeping clutter. So dim lighting is another major reason for falls. One of the other things that I didn't talk about earlier that can be also called a fall is drinking alcohol. Just FYI. No, I know nobody here. Goes to happy hour.
Or has a nightcap.
That's not. But just be aware, especially with certain medications. One of the things that we talked about that you can change in your rooms, specifically your closets, is, and I can't tell you how many people I've treated that have fallen this way. They got something up on the top shelf. So they stand on a box or they stand on a chair. I'm guilty, I've done it too, I'm not gonna lie. Or maybe they have their shoes on the floor and they're trying to bend over, down they go. This is a really easy fix, okay? And same thing in the kitchen. Don't put anything real high that you're gonna have to try to reach. And don't put anything so low that you're gonna have to bend over that you may fall. So I want everything in the middle. Put it in the middle, okay? And the things that you don't use, you don't hardly need, you can put those up, but anything you need on a daily basis, conglomerate to the middle.
I think a great thing you can do, say Sunday's your laundry day or Saturday, whatever day, pick outfits and put them together. Like for me, for my scrubs, I do my scrubs, my socks, my undergarments, and I hang them. And it's easy. I know it sounds funny, but it's easy. You grab it and it's like John said, put it in a condensed area, and then you're not trying to overextend yourself to add to an injury. I know it's a lot of work, but once it becomes a muscle memory, then it's there and you're saving yourself, like you said earlier, rushing to possibly injure yourself.
A couple of other ideas that you may or may not want to do. But let's say it's easier for you to get out on one side of the bed versus the other. One side of the bed is closer to the bathroom. One side is easier to get out because you're stronger. Your right side is stronger than your left side. I know it sounds simple, but get out on the side of the bed that's easier for you to get out of. And I realize some of you, I've slept on the same side of the bed for 30, 40 years. Okay, it's just an idea. And you may have to, I'm not going to get involved in fighting your spouses on switching places. That's up to you. I'm not going to be involved in that.
That's an easy inheritance.
Something else, and I don't know how prevalent this is, but they were talking about if you have like your sheets. If your sheets, some people love silk sheets. To me, they're too slippery, I slide, it's like I just keep going on. But if you have silky sheets or sheets that are real slick, change them. So you don't have the danger of sliding off the bed. We see a lot of people slid off the bed. Just sitting there,
And their pajamas are satin or silk, and then they add the double
Yep.
together. And then that's a
Um,
disaster.
okay, we talked about rugs, we talked about grab bars, slips.
Falls, once we fall in.
I want to talk about, your shoes. And some of you are gonna get angry at me. I'm not a big fan of sandals. I don't really like slippers either. Why? Because more people fall with sandals and slippers. They don't give you the support, especially these, I mean, we've all seen people with these old, or maybe y'all all have, I don't know, these old house shoes that are like, you know, they're really broken and they're real, but they're not really safe. That's all I'm gonna say about it. I don't want to get myself in too much trouble here, because I'm already in your bathrooms and bedrooms and your clothes and closets. And who's this guy think he owned my house like this? I didn't buy it. We talked about the rug. Something else I want to talk about. And I have trained a lot of people for this. And I'm the biggest animal lover here. I love dogs. Cats, I really do. Cats are some, it's like they know exactly when to get under your feet to possibly trip you.
Yes.
But even more prevalent, and I cannot tell you how many people can say I'm crazy, I'm making this up, I'm not. You're out there walking your dog. And your little dog, she's a squirrel. Squirrel, I must attack. You go. I have treated so many broken hips from people walking their dog saw a squirrel or something else, car or whatever, just took off, down they went. So, one thing that I would say is, when you're walking the dog, don't put it around your wrist like that.
Where's the handle?
And even a small dog, that fast, it cannot go.
So I did, when I was younger, I did dog 4-H and I trained and showed my dog in Washington State. What the trainer of the 4-H taught us to do is to take your leash and you're gonna fold it to the tension and the length that you want them. And you're just gonna hold it. And when that dog goes, open your hand, let the dog go.
Let
Your
it go.
hip is not worth it, your dog will come back. And
Well,
we're
that's the dog. I promise.
yeah, and we're in a confined area where you're not having to worry about 60-mile-an-hour cars or a busy street or whatnot. We have security that can go make sure your dog's okay. You are more important than saving that dog from going after that squirrel or whatever it may be.
Anybody has any other comments on that, any other thoughts, anything that you want to share with the rest of us that we haven't talked about? Yes, sir.
How about the risk of blood thinner when you fall?
Absolutely. So you are at a higher risk as we get older for brain bleeds or internal bleeds or wherever it may be. In those events, that's when I end up coming to your home, I triage you and I call EMS and we send you out. We'll piggyback off of that in a minute when it comes to falling, how to get the help and the needed, but you are at a higher risk for injury, fatality, and just trauma.
Yeah, I want to put my preaching hat on that. That's a great thought. Unfortunately, we've had many people here who have fallen. They hit their head or they did whatever. They're fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. I don't need to go to the hospital. I don't need to go get checked out. 24, 48 hours, they're dead. Or they had a brain bleed. And they're never the same. Because a brain bleed, a brain bleed is pretty much the same thing as having a stroke. It's all neuro. It's not a game. So please, if you fall and you hit your head, you need to go get checked out. I know it's a pain to go to the emergency room. I know you're gonna be sitting in there for God knows how long.
10 hours.
But you know what? I don't want anything to happen to you, and I'd rather you waste 10 hours to be told, oh, you're perfectly fine, than having to be treating you downstairs for a neurological condition. And I know I sound like I'm preaching, but I'm preaching. Okay, so let's move on because it's getting a little late here. We still got a lot I want to do. Anything more in the house? Anybody else have anything? Did you have something? Okay.
Yeah, just, I fell several weeks ago because I was in a hurry. Coming out of the kitchen, I hit the wall, piece of furniture, back I went. So slow down and self-talk. And now I'm talking all by myself in the apartment. They think, who's that crazy lady? But
It's okay to talk to yourself. I do it all the time. Slow down there, mister.
It's called, we're having a team meeting with ourselves.
But you said something that I just want to cover real quick. If you're in your house and you're wall walking or furniture walking, that's probably a good indication you need a walker or an assistive device. That is not safe. And I have been called in upstairs to the high-rise or different places multiple times because somebody was wall walking and literally pulled down one of those big grandfather clocks on top of it.
Oh.
It's not safe. That table you think is safe might flip over. I've seen people that fall into a glass table. Again, I know I sound like I'm preaching, but I care enough about you to tell you what you don't want to hear. If you're doing that, you're not Spider-Man. You can't hang on the wall. Just think about it. If you are doing those things, again, be aware of your deficits. If you're doing that consistently, you probably need to look at an assistive device. And if you need an assistive device, you think you need an assistive device, get an order for therapy. We'll be happy to come to do an evaluation. If you don't need it, that's right. Anybody else? Any other? Yes, sir.
Do you have any statistics or any thoughts about trekking poles?
By trekking poles, you mean those big poles that,
that you
Well,
have where they can, yeah.
yeah, well, yes, I mean, it depends on, everybody's needs may be different. I don't have a strong opinion on that. I think if you're needing it for balance, they probably help. What do those do? First of all, it allows you to have some stability through your arms, but it also widens your base of support, okay? So a widened base of support means better balance. If you watch those football players on the NFL, college, high school league, when they go to tackle somebody, they're not sitting here like this. They're sitting here like this. Why? A widened base of support. I can withstand a lot more impact, like withstand a lot more challenges to my balance with a wider base of support. If I'm standing like this, she comes and hits me, I'm gonna fall over. I didn't mean for her to do that. I think that was just meanness. Now she's laughing. Anything else before we move on?
Are you gonna discuss how's the best way to fall?
That is,
Oh, yeah.
you're right on it. That's my next contestant. Right here, yes. Okay. We've talked a lot about before the fall, because I think that that's probably one of the most important aspects, the things that you can kind of do, some of the things you can do to your environment, to yourself. Oh, one of the other things I want to talk about just real quick before you fall, if you are on a regular exercise program, you are a lot less likely to fall, and B, if you do fall, your recovery is a whole lot easier. A whole lot easier. So the importance of exercise is really important. Okay. Let's talk about how to fall. How to fall?
Yeah.
Yeah, to a certain extent, I don't know what they teach in the Army, I'm not gonna lie. Maybe y'all should be doing, the Army people can get up here and do this portion. But I think that's pretty much exactly right. Most people, when you fall, it's obviously not planned. So you have these reflexes, these reflexes that a reflex actually doesn't even have to go all the way to your brain, it just reacts. It goes to your spinal cord and back down. Most people, when they fall, they have what's called a boosh injury, which is basically, usually ends up with a broken wrist. Why? Boosh, falling on an outstretched hand. When you fall, what's the first thing you do? It's pretty instinctive. And obviously you can't always control the way that you're going to fall or how you're going to fall. However, with that being said, there are some, if you can be aware in the moment and you're thinking about it ahead of time, hey, if I fall, this is what I'm going to do. These are some of the things that I want you to do. Don't do this. What I would rather you do is put your arms up and protect your head. You'll have one of these. Your bones will heal, your fracture will heal. You get a brain bleed. Try to protect yourself. Try to fall on your side or your buttocks. Because that's where most of us have our most padding. Some of us more than others. Falling on your side, and you may break some rib, but you'll recover. Protect your head, try to fall on your side, try to fall on your caboose. Just something to think about. Does anybody have anything they want to add on that? What's the Army say? Well, that's a different fire, isn't it? Fire! That's another later topic. Yes, sir.
They call it PLF, parachute landing. You want to roll, you want to take the energy and dispense it away from what you're talking about, the hand, and do a, like you said.
You disperse the energy through your whole
let the
body. Yeah.
energy side.
I think Aikido and some of the martial arts teach that also. So yeah, what you're saying is exactly right. And that makes perfect sense. You want to disperse the impact through your entire body versus through.
I mean, I'm a helicopter pilot, we don't jump out of perfect good air.
Exactly. Yes, ma'am.
Save your back.
Yes.
By grabbing
Yep.
and holding.
Okay. So, you've fallen. Don't panic. Okay, that's the worst thing you can do. Don't panic. Don't try to just jump up and get up and go. Sit there, okay. Analyze your status, if you will. Am I hurt? How badly am I hurt? Okay. Am I going in and out of, is my thought process clear? Take some deep breaths, assess the situation. And then at this point, this is where I kind of want to go over, and we can practice it here with anybody who wants to practice, how to get up from the floor. Okay? So, everybody ready to see me fall on the floor? But don't push me again, right? Okay. I'm going to show you two ways to get up off the floor. The first one is the way that the organization that Terry had set up to get up. This is not the way that I would get up. And then I will later show you the way, the empowerment workshop, okay? I will then show you the way that I would get up. I will say that everybody is different. And so your physical limitations, your ability may change the best way to get up, okay? First I'm going to show you the way that people said to get up. Now, no, I think I can do it. Oh, my keys to okay. So you fall and I can't get up. That's it, go call for help. Can Nancy call 911? Okay, so you fall. And you know what, we're going to talk about.
And we're gonna go on that one in just a few moments.
So I'm gonna go through what they say first. So if one side is stronger than the other, they want you to roll towards that side. So I'm just gonna say my left side is strong. I wanna roll to you guys. So if you're on your back, they're gonna have you roll on your side and then roll onto your stomach. Okay. My first problem with this is many of you probably can't tolerate being in this position because of your back, maybe because of respiratory issues, maybe because of your neck, whatever. So some of you will not be able to do this. Okay? So the next thing they talk about is pushing yourself up and then bringing one knee up and getting up into the quadruped position like this. Here's the next step, which I think is going to be difficult for a lot of people. And that is to bring this leg up. Like this.
Do it.
Okay? And then they want you to take this leg. Okay, now see. Yeah. That's what these people wanted you to do. Now, if you can do it, that's great. That's not the way I would do it. So let me show you the way that I would do it. And if you, everybody may be a little bit different, but if I fall, what I want to do, there's two ways you can do this. You can do roll, you can want to crawl over towards the chair. Or, if you can, just sit up. And scoot to the chair. I did that for emphasis. So you scooted to the chair. Now, I think I turned it off. Okay. So now what I would do, then I would just kind of get into this position. Put your arms in this position. Stop and then say a prayer, yeah. Okay, and then you can use your arms. You can either do it this way, like that, or you can do it. My way, to me, seems a lot more realistic than that way.
Yeah.
But I think the main thing is don't panic. Okay? And then once you get to that chair, then you can relax, say another prayer, thank you, Lord, for getting me, let me get in this chair. And then from that point, you can probably get up. Okay? Now that's assuming you fell on the floor. If you fall in the shower or the bathroom, it's still basically the same thing. You need, to me, the best way to do is get on your behind and scoot out to where you can pull forward or whatever. Any questions on it?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
well, I'm assuming that somebody's fallen and they need to get help, but actually, you ought not to move someone if they've fallen, because they could have a serious back injury, and,
Yeah, that's totally correct. Now, this was more for if you're falling you're at home by yourself and there's nobody there. if somebody's there, then they should be able to call 911 or the front desk or whoever for them. You're right, and so I'm glad you brought that up. If somebody's there, generally you don't want to move them unless they're in some sort of immediate danger, because they could have you could make it worse. So yes, totally agree with that. Yes, sir.
I'm a big proponent of the fob. Maybe you're gonna go there.
Yeah, we are gonna go there.
Good, because even if you don't need it, it's a pretty good thing.
It's insurance.
You get on the floor and you try to call to a phone, your Apple Watch might work, but then again, you may not.
Yeah. Anybody else, anything before we move on?
Mine goes crazy.
Yes.
I did a wrong thing several times when Jim fallen, and I have some fantastic people up there on the 8th floor. They always say, if you need help, let me know. So I did. I let them know, and they came in and helped me to get Jim up. Wrong. Because I endangered their backs as well as mine or Jim's. And I truly had to apologize to them. From that point on, I knew that we could call downstairs and they would send the,
And that's another thing, if you have a fall and you do not require emergency like EMS, they can call Acadian Lift Assist. So if you know that you're not injured or whatever the case is, Acadian Lift Assist will come. They will assess you, they will do vitals, they will check you out. They're a firefighter, paramedic, EMT combined. So they have the education, they have the skills, they have the knowledge. Then they can make that decision. You know what? I don't think this resident's okay. I think I'm gonna call for our EMS. And then that's where EMS will come and transport you to your hospital of choice. So there are those options and those tiers up. We can start with a lift assist. They can check you out, make sure you're okay. If not, and then they will call EMS at that time and have them come to better assess you and take you to the hospital.
Anybody else? Yes.
And we've had calls in our house several times, and my, watch has said to me, your husband has fallen. And then I didn't know where he was. And before I knew it, they were at my front door. So,
This technology is amazing.
and I just doesn't work. Said that something that was not right. And they asked me, are you all
Are you
right?
okay? That's correct. Let's go ahead and move into that. There's a lot of different technology out there. There's the Apple Watch where if you're upright and you suddenly end up vertical, it sends a signal. There's all sorts of, my dad has one that he wears. I don't know what it is, but basically, if it senses that he has gone flat, it talks to him. Are you okay? Are you okay? Do we need to send somebody? There's a lot of different technology out there like that. You know, we have the call systems here, the attendants. Now, here's the cool thing, or well, not the cool thing, but the important thing about that is you actually have to wear it. Or we need to practice our butt scooch over to the pendant. And I don't think they're really expensive, they're like $5 a month, $10 inflation. But to me, all of these things are insurance plans, or if you fall. Now, here's another cheap one, and it was a resident that told me about this, and it makes perfect sense, and at the time he told me these weren't as big as they are now. But, you know, you've all seen the Amazon Echo, the Google ones, some of them are really cheap. You can set those up in your apartment, your cottage, wherever it is. And IT will, I believe, will come and program them for you, get you online, and help you program it, I believe. And you can put those in strategic places around your cottage or apartment where you're most likely to fall, which is where? Right. So put it, maybe not in your bathroom, but maybe close to the bathroom, or maybe in the bathroom. Maybe some of you like to listen to music while you're showering, whatever. But the point is, and maybe have 2 or 3 of them in strategic places, so that if you fall and you are injured, and maybe you can't scoot or whatever, you can't do it. Alexa, call the front desk. Alexa, call my daughter.
Alexa, call 911.
Alexa, call 911.
It'll still patch you into the front desk and you will both be on a conference call to 911. So regardless if you call front desk or 911, you're still gonna talk to the front desk concurrent.
Okay. And then like we talked about the Apple Watches, we talked about the pendant. There's all sorts of different technology now that really, and I like that one that told you your husband fell. Was that Apple or? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Because I was connected, I set up my watch.
Yeah. So is that a special program or was it because it's y'all both on the same account
It's
or?
automatically.
Okay. Okay.
So he was.
So y'all are more up to date on some of the technology stuff than I am.
So I just got one for my sister, medical guardian, and they actually just upgraded the pendant, so if she falls, she doesn't have to press a button, it will.
It can sense if that there's been a change in.
Yeah, before she had to press the button and
Yeah.
say.
Because, and I like that better because God forbid you fall and you're unconscious or you pass out. Because the real danger to me is, that I've seen here, is these people who fall and they're laying there for 12 hours,
Yeah.
14 hours, 15 hours, whatever. Now maybe, why did they fall? Maybe they were already dehydrated, and then they lay there another 12 hours, now they're more dehydrated. Now we've got acute kidney injury going on. Maybe something is going on in their head. And if you have some sort of neurological thing going on, time is of the essence, and they just lay there for 12 hours. I've also seen people that they fell and landed between the commode and the wall, and they were stuck there.
Oh.
They ended up with a big old wound. That's the pressure.
That string that's on that switch on the wall doesn't do any good when it's all coiled up and tied there either.
Yeah.
Correct,
Yes.
yes.
You might think you can crawl along the floor and reach up there and grab it, but that doesn't work very well.
I will say this, if you knock that thing that the front desk calls you,
They do.
they're very good.
And then another thing I want to piggyback off of all of that is in the event that you do fall, you are down, be prepared for it because it's not if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. Make sure you have your Bio Life on your refrigerator. Make sure it's filled out. Make sure it's up to date. Make sure it's current. And I'm going to say this reason right here. I had a call, a resident was kind of incapacitated, couldn't comprehend, didn't know what was going on. EMS is trained, and I've seen it every single call that I've gone on, they go directly to your refrigerator. And they look for that because it helps speed up that process to taking care of you, whether, like the gentleman said, blood thinners, or like he said, you're on a Lasix pill, things that'll indicate for us that time is of the essence. We gotta get this person on this stretcher in this EMS and at the hospital. So as much as this may seem frustrating or another piece of paperwork, it is so important for myself as a nurse and for EMS because it paints a picture of who you are and what's going on with you.
And EMS is going to get back to the hospital.
Correct.
Because that's one of the first things they're going to ask me.
They ask
What
for the
medication-
Bio Life,
What medication?
medication, your insurance, all that information. And they, in real time, take pictures of it, upload it, and the hospital has it by the time you are delivered to the hospital.
Anybody else got any other questions, any thoughts? Sure.
The doctor told my husband, remember, your next fall could be your last.
I'd like to end on a little more cheery. But it's true. Again, a little bit, I have a little bit of fear. It's good because it makes you not rush, Yep. I know it's late. We were supposed to have everybody get on here and practice getting up from the floor. I'm not gonna make y'all do that, but if there's anybody who does wanna practice or try it with us here, we'll stay here as long as anybody wants to try it, we'll be happy to do that. But I'm not gonna make y'all do it or keep you any longer. We've been kind of long-winded. Yes, ma'am?
Just an advertisement for Carrie has a balance class that is very
Very good, yep.
helpful in getting the muscles a little bit stronger so that if you do go down, maybe you have enough strength to get back up.
And you're less likely to hurt yourself. And if you do fall, your recovery time is gonna
But I
be
think
quicker.
the balance part of what she exercises is a prevention.
I'm always saying this, the best fall is the one that we can prevent.
Yeah.
And that's kind of really what all this is about, is trying to prevent. If any of you are able to take any of this information that we've given you and it decreases your fall risk by 5%, 10%, that's a win.
And I know this is a lot of information to be front-loaded to you and expect you to remember. John's door is always open, my door is always
Absolutely.
open. I know he's a little bit busier than I am because he has so many residents coming at one time, whereas.
And we
I
have
don't-
upstairs therapy with
You know.
Romeo and Jeff, most of you probably are familiar with.
So we're
those
here,
guys.
we're happy to answer questions. Do not feel like any question is a dumb question. If you don't ask a question, that's a dumb question, because you didn't ask it, but we're happy to help in any way we can. Yes, ma'am.
Is any of this information on the resident portal?
So we are right now videotaping this. We will have access to it on the television, and then I'm not sure if we'll have it on the portal as well.
No, just the hard copies, right?
So we just have the hard copies, but we are gonna play it, over the television setup.
And some of the stuff that we went over is not prepared on all that material. That's the material that these empowered people gave. A lot of what we talked about was just kind of us
And other things
giving
that I
information that
found,
we thought was important, specific for this, this group of people and the residents of the Ark.
I think you did a great job.
Thank you. Anybody wants to say anything else?
We do
get a group picture
we do wanna get a